Welcome to a special edition of the Resistance Revolutionary Party. I'm your host, Gregory Duncan. This video is entitled Democracy, the U.S. Constitution, and the 14th Amendment versus Donald John Trump. Time after time, over and over again, I keep hearing people say, there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says a convicted felon can be President of the United States. If Donald Trump can hold office based on something that's not in the U.S. Constitution, which is that a convicted felon can't hold office, there's also nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says a convicted felon can hold office. The only difference between the two is one side continues to keep saying there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says a convicted felon can't hold office, while some on the other side have yet to recognize, acknowledge, and inform everyone that there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says a convicted felon can't hold office. And that's why I'm here, to spread the word. Why are election deniers and their enablers, propagandists, and supporters allowed to make any ridiculous, insane, hypocritical, irrational, idiotic, non-legal argument in or out of court, in the news media, or on social media, or anywhere else regarding Trump's presidential eligibility, and not push back or simply ignore just as those who make the baseless argument of his eligibility? In other words, saying one side of an argument has legitimacy to it based on what's not in the U.S. Constitution, then the opposite argument is not only legitimate, it's more legitimate, because there is nothing in the U.S. Constitution that allows a convicted felon to hold any office in the United States, especially the presidency. So that in itself disqualifies Trump from legally holding office of the president, because he is a convicted felon. That's one example. Here's another, which is actually in the Constitution. And it's Amendment 14, Section 3, and I'm paraphrasing, which says, if someone had previously taken an oath to support the U.S. Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid and comfort to the enemies thereof, would be disqualified from holding office. And the only way such an individual would legally be eligible to hold office is if Congress voted 2/3 of each house to remove such a disability from that individual. Now, here's what the 14th Amendment, Section 3 actually says. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such a disability. Now, for those who don't understand what the words insurrection, rebellion, and aid or comfort means, here are their definitions. Insurrection, a violent uprising against an authority or government. Rebellion, an act of violent or open resistance to an established government or ruler. Aid or comfort, providing a secure ease to those who have committed such acts as insurrection or rebellion against the United States or a state. Now, the United States Constitution is a self-executing document, which simply means something that goes into effect or can be enforced after being created without anything else required. Now, anyone giving Trump immunity or swearing him in as President of the United States would be in violation of their oath of office set forth by the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Also, any military member of the United States or in the Department of Justice following any directions from Trump will be in violation of their oath of office set forth by the 14th Amendment, Section 3. In other words, they themselves would automatically be disqualified from holding their judicial seat, military status, or as a law officer's position, and simultaneously invalidate their authority, which makes swearing Trump in as president giving aid or comfort to an insurrectionist, following the order of an illegitimate representative, an illegal act. Therefore, when it comes to those who engaged in the insurrection on January 6, 2021, or supported it from afar, claiming a convicted felon and an insurrectionist can run for president and be president despite what the 14th Amendment says, their opinions should be ignored on that verdict. The only authority on that subject of who is eligible or who is disqualified is in the U.S. Constitution itself. Also, these same lying traitors will either say that Trump hasn't been charged with or convicted of insurrection. Where does it say in the 14th Amendment, Section 3, that someone needs to be charged with or convicted of insurrection? It clearly states engaged in. And on January 6, 2021, Donald John Trump, who previously had taken an oath as president, engaged in an insurrection and is willing to give aid and comfort to other insurrectionists. Now, here are some interesting facts. Someone who's under the age of 35 can't legally hold the office of President of the United States. Someone who wasn't born in or hadn't lived in the United States for 14 years can't legally hold the office of President of the United States. Nor someone who had been elected as president twice or served as President of the United States for at least 2 years for which someone else had been elected can only legally be elected once as president as set forth by the 22nd Amendment. But somehow, Donald Trump, who violated his oath of office by accepting gifts from foreign countries, which is in violation of the Emoluments Clause, been indicted so far on 4 separate occasions, illegally participated in trying to overturn a lawful election, engaged in an insurrection, stole thousands of U.S. classified government documents and refused to return them, found guilty on sexual assault, found guilty on 34 charges for campaign finance fraud, lies every time he opens his mouth, claimed he never took an oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution, refused to accept a peaceful transition of power, said if elected he would like to be a dictator for one day, etc. That person, according to some, can be President of the United States. The only way that would stand is if those who claim they believe in and support democracy and the U.S. Constitution don't uphold the institutions against those who would try to destroy them by simply rolling over and caving into the lying traitorous fashion. This message is to all who voted Trump out of office in 2020. Let's put a thumb on the scale by enforcing the laws in the U.S. Constitution, such as the 14th Amendment, Section 3, and also vote to keep this corrupt, incompetent, immoral, narcissistic, psychopathic, lunatic, criminal, etc., and his enablers out of office. Vote straight down ballot Democrat on November 5th, 2024, and thereafter. I've said this in the past, I say it in the present, and I'll say it in the future. Evil never sleeps, it never rests, it never takes a break, and good mustn't either. Let's hold the orange vomit, his enablers, his propagandists, and supporters forever accountable. What do the following 3 have in common? Judas, Benedict Arnold, and Donald Trump. They're all traitors. Let history remember that. P.S. To the Trump supporters, here's some good advice for you. Since you think, feel, or believe that our elections can't be trusted and are not legitimate, then I suggest you protest. The best way to do that is to sit out this election and every election thereafter, which is your right, and that will show the libtards. Oh, and by the way, Stephen Warren for Trump. Thank you. Remember to like, share, and comment and subscribe to this post.